Zara's claws scraped against the metal floor as she paced in the small medical bay. Her daughter Kara lay on the examination table, breathing shallow and weak. The blue scales that once shimmered like ocean waves now appeared dull and gray. The disease was spreading faster than anyone expected. Dr. Vax, the Galactic Medical Council's top physician, emerged from behind his diagnostic equipment. His 4 eyes showed the kind of sadness that came with delivering bad news too many times. "The neural decay has progressed to stage 7, he said quietly. "I'm afraid there's nothing more we can do with our current technology." Zara felt her heart break into 1,000 pieces. "How long does she have?" "Maybe 3 standard weeks." "I'm sorry, Zara. Krillian syndrome has no known cure. We've tried everything in our medical databases." The other alien species in the waiting area looked away when Zara walked past them. Some whispered behind their hands or tentacles. Everyone knew about Krillian syndrome. It was the curse that haunted her people, the Aquari. 1 in every 1,000 children developed it, and none had ever survived. Zara carried her sleeping daughter to their small apartment on Station Beta 7. The place felt empty and cold despite the warm recycled air. She tucked Kara into bed and watched her chest rise and fall. Each breath seemed more labored than the last. That night, Zara sat at her computer terminal and searched through every medical database she could access. She read about experimental treatments, miracle cures, and wild theories. Nothing worked for Krillian syndrome. The disease attacked the nervous system in ways that no known medicine could stop. She found herself on the illegal networks, the places where desperate people went when legitimate medicine failed them. There were stories of black market treatments, dangerous procedures, and experimental drugs that hadn't been approved by any medical council. Most were scams designed to take advantage of grieving parents. But one listing caught her attention. A dealer named Korax claimed to have access to something called human neural regeneration compounds. The price was astronomical, 50,000 credits. Zara only had 800 credits to her name. She researched everything she could about humans. They were a relatively new species in galactic society, having only made contact 20 years ago. Most aliens considered them primitive and aggressive. Their medicine was considered crude compared to the advanced healing technologies of older civilizations. But the humans had something unique. They had survived countless diseases on their homeworld, developing immune systems that could adapt to almost anything. Some scientists whispered about human medical breakthroughs that defied conventional understanding. Zara made a decision that terrified her. She would sell everything she owned and take on dangerous jobs to raise the money. She would do whatever it took to save her daughter. The next morning, she listed her furniture, her art collection, and even her grandmother's jewelry on the station's marketplace. Everything sold within hours to bargain hunters who didn't care why she was desperate for credits. She raised 3,000 credits. That wasn't nearly enough. Zara needed to find work, and she needed to find it fast. The most dangerous jobs on Station Beta 7 were in the lower levels, where the station's waste systems and power cores created hazardous working conditions. Zara had been an artist before Kira got sick, painting beautiful murals for wealthy families. Now she was applying for jobs that could kill her. She signed up to clean radiation leaks in the power core. The work paid well because few people were willing to risk the exposure. Zara worked 18-hour shifts, wearing a protective suit that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. The radiation detector on her belt clicked constantly, reminding her that each minute in the core chambers was damaging her DNA. Between shifts, she rushed home to check on Kira. Her daughter was getting weaker. Some days, Kira couldn't even lift her head from the pillow. Zara fed her liquid nutrients through a tube and told her stories about the beautiful underwater cities of their homeworld. "Are we going home soon, Mama?" Kira asked one evening, her voice barely above a whisper. Zara brushed her daughter's scales gently. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going home very soon." She didn't mention that home was impossible now. Kira was too sick to travel, and Zara was spending every credit on medical care and her desperate plan to buy the human medicine. After 2 weeks of radiation cleaning, Zara had raised another 15,000 credits. But the radiation exposure was taking its toll. Her own scales were starting to lose their color, and she felt constantly nauseous. The station's medical scanner showed early signs of radiation poisoning. She took on more jobs. She worked in the sewage systems, cleaning out blocked pipes filled with toxic waste from dozens of different alien species. She sorted garbage in the recycling centers, breathing in harmful fumes for hours at a time. She even signed up for experimental drug testing, letting scientists inject her with untested compounds to see how her body reacted. Each job damaged her body a little more. Her hands developed sores that wouldn't heal. Her breathing became labored. Her beautiful blue scales began falling out in patches, leaving rough gray skin underneath. But she was getting closer to her goal. 48,000 credits. Just 2,000 more, and she could contact Korax about the human medicine. Kara was barely conscious now. Dr. Vex had stopped charging for his visits, knowing that Zara was bankrupting herself to keep her daughter comfortable. "You need to stop working," he told her. "The radiation poisoning is going to kill you." "I just need a few more days," Zara said. "Please, just help me keep her comfortable for a few more days." She took her most dangerous job yet. The station's central computer core needed cleaning, and the electromagnetic radiation inside was so intense that most species couldn't survive more than an hour of exposure. The pay was enormous, 3,000 credits for one day's work. Zara put on the heaviest protective gear available and entered the computer core. The radiation was so intense that she could feel it burning through her suit within minutes. Her vision started to blur, and her hands began to shake uncontrollably. But she kept working. She cleaned every surface, replaced every filter, and checked every connection. By the time she stumbled out of the core, she had been inside for 4 hours. The medics rushed her to the emergency room. "You've received a lethal dose of radiation," Dr. Vex told her. "I don't understand how you're still alive." Zara looked at her bank account. 50,000 credits exactly. "I need to make a call," she whispered. She contacted Korax through an encrypted channel. The alien was exactly what she expected: greedy, suspicious, and completely unconcerned with her situation. "You have the credits?" he asked. "Yes." "When can you deliver the medicine?" 2 days. "But I need payment in advance, and I need to warn you that this stuff is completely experimental. No guarantees it will work." Zara transferred all 50,000 credits without hesitation. "Just get it here as fast as you can." Those 2 days felt like years. Kara drifted in and out of consciousness. Zara, dying from radiation poisoning, sat beside her daughter's bed and held her small hand. Sometimes Kara would open her eyes and smile, not understanding how sick they both were. On the second day, Korax arrived at their apartment with a small metal case. He looked nervous, constantly checking over his shoulder. "This is it," he said, handing her a single vial of clear liquid. 1 dose. That's all I could get." Zara took the vial with trembling hands. It looked like ordinary water. "How do I give it to her?" "Injection directly into the bloodstream. And, lady, I have to tell you something. I got this from a human ship that was impounded 3 months ago. The crew was arrested for smuggling. I don't know if this medicine is real or if it's just some kind of cleaning solution." Zara felt her world collapse. She had sacrificed everything, destroyed her body, and spent their last credits on something that might be fake. Korax left quickly, and Zara was alone with her dying daughter and a vial of unknown liquid. She sat there for hours, staring at the medicine and trying to decide what to do. Outside their small apartment, Station Beta 7 continued its normal operations. Thousands of aliens went about their daily lives, unaware that in one small room, a mother was holding what might be her daughter's only hope for survival. Zara looked at Kara's peaceful face and made her decision. She had come too far to turn back now. Zara prepared the injection with hands that shook from radiation sickness and fear. She had been a mother for 7 years, but she had never felt the weight of that responsibility like she did now. One decision could save her daughter or kill her faster. She was about to inject the mysterious liquid when their apartment door chimed. Zara ignored it, focusing on finding a vein in Kara's thin arm. The chime came again, more insistent. "Go away," Zara called out weakly. "Ma'am, this is Security Chief Torres. I need to speak with you about a transaction you made today." Zara's blood went cold. If station security had tracked her purchase from Korax, she could be arrested for buying illegal substances. They would take her away from Kira in her final hours. She hid the vial under her daughter's blanket and opened the door. Standing in the hallway was a human male in a station security uniform. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with dark skin and kind eyes that seemed out of place on a security officer. "Are you Zara Kelson?" he asked. "Yes. What do you want? May I come in? I promise I'm not here to arrest you." Zara stepped aside reluctantly. The human entered her small apartment and looked around, taking in the medical equipment, the empty food containers, and Kara's still form on the bed. "My name is Marcus Torres," he said quietly. "I'm investigating the theft of medical supplies from a human research vessel 3 months ago." "I don't know anything about that." Marcus walked over to Kara's bedside and knelt down. "How old is she?" 7. Zara moved protectively between the human and her daughter. "Why does that matter?" "Because 3 months ago, my ship was researching treatments for pediatric neurological disorders. We had developed several experimental compounds specifically for children with nervous system diseases." Zara felt her legs go weak. "Your ship?" "I was in security back then. I was a research assistant on the HSV Hippocrates. We were conducting medical trials when pirates attacked us. They stole everything they could carry, including our research samples." Marcus stood and faced Zara directly. "I've been tracking those stolen medicines ever since, trying to find them before someone got hurt using untested drugs. Today, I traced a transaction to your apartment." Zara couldn't speak. The vial hidden under Kara's blanket suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "The compound you bought today," Marcus continued, "it's called HR-47. We developed it specifically to treat a condition that affects aquatic species. The preliminary results were promising, but the research was never completed." "You're saying it might actually work?" "I'm saying it's not fake, but it's also not safe. The dosage requirements vary drastically between species, and we never finished the toxicity testing." Zara sank into the chair beside Kara's bed. "She's dying anyway. The doctors say she has days left." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, studying Kara's pale face and the medical readouts on the monitors. "What's her condition called?" "Krillian syndrome. It's always fatal in our species." The human's expression changed. He pulled out a small tablet and began typing rapidly. "Krillian syndrome, neural pathway degeneration, affects primarily aquatic humanoids." He looked up at Zara with excitement. "We studied this exact condition. HR-47 was designed specifically for diseases like this." "But, you said it wasn't safe." "For most species, no. But, for aquatic physiology, with the right dosage." Marcus paused, looking conflicted. "I shouldn't be telling you this. The research wasn't approved by any medical council. If something goes wrong, I could lose my job or worse." Zara pulled the vial out from under Kara's blanket. "This is it, isn't it?" Marcus examined the container and nodded. "That's HR-47. But, Zara, I have to tell you something important. That dosage would kill your daughter instantly." Zara's heart stopped. "What?" "This vial contains enough compound for a fully grown Galeran. For a child Kara's size, she would need about 1/20th of this amount." Zara realized how close she had come to accidentally killing her own daughter. She had been seconds away from injecting a lethal dose of experimental medicine. Marcus sat down across from her. "I want to help you, but I need you to understand the risks. This compound has never been tested on children. We don't know what the side effects might be. And if the Galactic Medical Council finds out I helped you administer an unapproved treatment, both of us could face serious charges." "She's going to die anyway," Zara whispered. At least this way, she has a chance. Marcus looked at Kara again, then at Zara's radiation-burned hands and patchy scales. You're sick too. How much exposure did you take on to buy this medicine? It doesn't matter. I just need her to get better. It does matter. If we're going to do this, I need to know your condition so I can calculate the proper dosages for both of you. Zara looked up sharply. Both of us? HR-47 can treat radiation poisoning too. It was originally developed as a broad-spectrum neural and cellular regenerative compound. Marcus pulled out a small medical scanner. May I? Zara nodded, and Marcus scanned her vital signs. His expression grew grave as he read the results. You have maybe a week before total system failure, he said quietly. The radiation damage is extensive. I know. But I needed the money. Marcus was quiet for several minutes, thinking. Finally, he made a decision. I'm going to help you both. But we need to do this properly. He contacted someone on his communicator. Dr. Sarah Chen, this is Marcus. I need you to come to Station Beta 7 immediately. Yes, I know we're supposed to be on leave. I'll explain when you get here, but bring your portable medical lab. Zara didn't understand. Who is Dr. Chen? The lead researcher who developed HR-47. She's also my wife, and she's been just as concerned about the stolen medicine as I have. 2 hours later, Dr. Sarah Chen arrived at their apartment with a case full of medical equipment. She was a small, energetic woman with gray hair and hands that moved constantly as she talked. She took one look at Kara and immediately began setting up her instruments. Marcus told me about the situation, she said while working. I want you to know that what we're about to do could get us all in serious trouble. But I became a doctor to save lives, not to follow bureaucratic procedures. She ran extensive tests on both Zara and Kara, calculating their exact physiological requirements and adjusting the compound accordingly. The good news is that both of your conditions are treatable with HR-47. The bad news is that the treatment process will be extremely difficult. What do you mean? Zara asked. HR-47 essentially rebuilds damaged neural pathways and cellular structures. For your daughter, it will have to fight against the syndrome while reconstructing her entire nervous system. For you, it will need to repair massive radiation damage while maintaining your normal bodily functions. Dr. Chen prepared 2 syringes with carefully measured doses. The process will take several days. You'll both experience significant pain as your bodies essentially rebuild themselves. There's also a chance that it might not work at all. Marcus held Zara's hand. You don't have to do this. We could try to get you both into a proper medical facility. There's no time, Zara said. And no money. We do it here, or we don't do it at all. Dr. Chen administered Kara's injection first. The little girl didn't even wake up as the needle went into her arm. Within minutes, her vital signs began to change. Her brain activity increased, and her breathing became less labored. That's a good sign, Dr. Chen said. Her body is accepting the compound. Then, it was Zara's turn. The injection burned like fire as it entered her bloodstream. Within seconds, she felt every damaged cell in her body start to tingle and burn. The next 72 hours will be critical, Dr. Chen explained. I'll stay here to monitor you both, but I need to warn you that this might get much worse before it gets better. She was right. By the end of the first day, both Zara and Kara were experiencing intense pain as their bodies began to heal. Kara cried constantly as her nervous system rebuilt itself. Zara felt like her entire body was on fire as the compound worked to repair the radiation damage. Marcus never left their side. He helped Dr. Chen monitor their vital signs, administered pain medication, and held Zara's hand during the worst moments. You're the strongest person I've ever met, he told her during one particularly bad episode. I'm not strong, Zara gasped through the pain. I'm just desperate. Desperation can be a kind of strength, Marcus replied. You sacrificed everything for your daughter. That takes courage most people don't have. On the second day, Kara's condition began to improve dramatically. Her scales started to regain their color, and she woke up asking for water. Dr. Chen ran test after test, hardly believing the results. The neural pathway reconstruction is proceeding faster than our most optimistic projections, she reported. Kara's brain activity is not just returning to normal levels, it's exceeding them. Zara's recovery was slower and more painful. The radiation damage was extensive, and her body fought against the healing process. But, gradually, her scales began to grow back, and her breathing became easier. On the third day, Kara sat up in bed for the first time in weeks. "Mama," she said, her voice clear and strong, "I feel different." Zara burst into tears of relief and joy. Her daughter was going to live. 3 weeks later, Kara was running through the corridors of Station Beta 7 like any normal 7-year-old. Her scales shimmered with a brilliance that seemed almost impossible after how close she had come to death. Dr. Chen ran daily tests, amazed by the complete recovery. "I've never seen anything like it," she told Zara during one of their appointments. Not only has the Krillian syndrome been completely eliminated, but Kara's nervous system is actually functioning better than average for her species. Zara watched her daughter play with a puzzle game, her small fingers moving with precision and speed that surprised even herself. "What does that mean?" "It means the HR-47 didn't just cure her disease. It enhanced her natural neural development. She's going to be exceptionally intelligent and coordinated as she grows up." Zara's own recovery had been equally remarkable. The radiation poisoning was gone, her scales had grown back more beautiful than before, and she felt stronger than she had in years. But, more than the physical healing, something else had changed. Marcus had visited them every day during their recovery. He brought Kara books and games from the human section of the station, and he spent hours talking with Zara about everything and nothing. She found herself looking forward to his visits more than she wanted to admit. "Why did you help us?" she asked him one evening as Kara slept peacefully. Marcus was quiet for a moment, looking out the small window at the stars beyond. "When I was Kara's age, I had a disease that the doctors said was incurable. My parents spent everything they had trying to save me, just like you did." "What happened?" "A doctor from another country had developed an experimental treatment. It was illegal in my country, dangerous, and expensive. But my parents found a way to get it for me." Marcus smiled. "Obviously, it worked. Is that why you became a researcher?" "Partly. But mostly it's because I learned that sometimes the most important discoveries happen when people are willing to take risks for the people they love." Zara felt a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the healing compound. "The medical council is going to find out eventually, aren't they?" Marcus nodded. "Sarah and I have been preparing for that. We're going to present our findings officially and request approval for controlled trials of HR-47. Will you get in trouble?" "Probably. But we have proof that it works, and we have detailed records of your treatment process. That has to count for something." The medical council hearing was scheduled for the following month. Dr. Chen had prepared extensive documentation of both recoveries, complete with before and after medical scans, genetic analysis, and behavioral assessments. The evidence was undeniable. HR-47 had not only cured 2 supposedly incurable conditions but had done so with no negative side effects. The day before the hearing, Marcus came to visit with news that changed everything. "I've been in contact with other research teams across the galaxy," he said, barely containing his excitement. "Word has gotten out about what happened here. There are 17 other species that have neurological conditions similar to Krillian syndrome." "What does that mean?" "It means HR-47 might be able to help thousands of children throughout the galaxy. The Zephyrians have a condition called mind fade that kills half their children before age 10. The crystalline race has something called shard sickness that causes similar neural degeneration." Dr. Chen appeared on the communication screen from her temporary research lab. "Zara, I've been analyzing Kara's genetic code since her recovery. The changes the compound made are permanent and hereditary." Zara didn't understand the implications. "What does that mean for Kara?" "It means her children will be immune to Krillian syndrome." And if we can replicate the genetic modifications across your entire species. Dr. Chen's voice trailed off with excitement. You could eliminate the disease entirely, Marcus finished. Zara sat down heavily. The magnitude of what had happened was overwhelming. Her desperate attempt to save her daughter had accidentally become the key to saving countless other children. The medical council hearing was unlike anything Zara had ever experienced. Representatives from dozens of species filled the massive chamber on the council's home station. The Galactic Medical Authority's most senior doctors and scientists examined every detail of the treatment process. Dr. Korath, the council's chief medical officer, was an ancient Voltharian with 6 eyes and a reputation for being completely unsympathetic to unauthorized research. Dr. Chen, he said in his deep, rumbling voice, you administered an untested compound to a child without proper authorization. By all rights, you should be stripped of your medical license. Sarah Chen stood confidently before the council. Yes, sir. I did exactly that. And I would do it again. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. No one spoke to Dr. Korath that way. Please explain your reasoning, doctor. Because sometimes being a doctor means choosing between following rules and saving lives. I chose to save lives. Dr. Korath examined the medical records on his display. The results are indeed remarkable. But the risks you took were enormous. What if the treatment had failed? What if the child had died from your experimental compound? Marcus stood up from the gallery. If I may speak, sir? You are not a medical professional. This hearing is not for you. Actually, sir, I am a medical researcher, and this treatment exists because of stolen human research. I think I have a right to be heard. Dr. Korath's 6 eyes focused on Marcus with intimidating intensity. But, after a moment, he nodded. Very well. Speak. Marcus walked to the center of the chamber. 3 months ago, pirates stole medical research from a human vessel. That research included compounds that could save lives throughout the galaxy. Instead of mourning the loss, we tracked down one of those compounds and proved that it works. He gestured toward Zara and Kira, who were sitting in the gallery. This mother sacrificed her health, her savings, and nearly her life to save her daughter. When we found her, she was about to accidentally kill her child with an improper dosage of stolen medicine. We had a choice: follow regulations and let them both die, or break the rules and save 2 lives. The chamber was completely silent. Human medical philosophy is built on a simple principle, Marcus continued. First, do no harm. But sometimes doing no harm means taking action even when the regulations say you shouldn't. Dr. Korath looked at the medical data for several long minutes. Finally, he spoke. The genetic modifications documented in this case are unprecedented. If replicated, this treatment could eliminate several hereditary diseases that have plagued galactic civilization for millennia. He looked directly at Dr. Chen. Your actions were reckless, unauthorized, and completely contrary to established medical protocols. Sarah Chen's face fell. They were also brilliant, brave, and exactly what any good doctor should have done in that situation. Dr. Korath's stern expression softened slightly. The Galactic Medical Council hereby authorizes immediate trials of HR-47 for the treatment of neurological disorders across 17 species. The chamber erupted in applause. Several alien doctors stood and cheered. Zara felt tears streaming down her face as she realized that her daughter's survival was going to save countless other children. But Dr. Korath wasn't finished. Furthermore, we are establishing a new medical research partnership with human scientists. Your species' approach to emergency medicine and experimental treatment has proven valuable beyond measure. 6 months later, Zara stood in the research laboratory that had been built specifically for HR-47 development. The station had been transformed into the galaxy's leading center for neurological research. Scientists from dozens of species worked together to refine the compound and develop treatments for other conditions. Kira played in the corner of the lab, helping young researchers with simple tasks while demonstrating her enhanced cognitive abilities. She had become something of a celebrity among the scientific community, and she loved the attention. The first trial results from the Zephyrian children are coming in today, Dr. Chen reported, her excitement barely contained. Marcus looked up from his research station. All positive responses so far. 17 children treated, 17 complete recoveries. Zara watched her daughter solve a mathematical puzzle that should have been too difficult for a child her age. Does she understand what happened to her? She understands that she was sick and now she's better, Marcus said. When she's older, we'll explain how her recovery helped save other children across the galaxy. Zara had been offered a job at the research station, helping to coordinate treatment programs for families in need. She would never be an artist again, but she had found something more meaningful. She was helping other parents avoid the desperate journey she had been forced to take. There's something else, Marcus said quietly. The council has approved a new program to provide emergency medical funding for families who can't afford treatment. They're calling it the Kelson Initiative. Zara felt overwhelmed by the honor. I don't deserve that. Yes, you do, Dr. Chen said firmly. Your willingness to sacrifice everything for your daughter changed galactic medicine forever. Other parents will never have to make the choices you made. That evening, Zara and Kara sat in their new apartment, which was larger and more comfortable than anything they had ever had before. Kara was drawing pictures of the various alien researchers she had met that day. Mama, Kara said without looking up from her artwork, Marcus makes you smile. Zara felt her cheeks warm. He's a good friend. Are you going to marry him? Where did you get that idea? Kara looked up with the serious expression that 7-year-olds used when they thought they understood the adult world. He looks at you the same way Daddy used to look at you in the pictures. Zara's first husband had died in an accident when Kara was very young. She had never thought she would find love again, especially not after everything they had been through. There was a chime at the door, and Marcus appeared with a bag of takeout food from the human sections restaurant. I thought you might be tired from the lab work today, he said. Kara grinned and ran to hug him. Marcus! Look at my picture of Dr. Veltar. Marcus examined the drawing seriously. That's an excellent representation of a crystalline researcher. You even got the number of facets right on his head crystal. As they sat down to dinner together, Zara realized that her daughter had been right. Marcus did look at her with love, and she found herself returning that look more every day. I have news, Marcus said between bites of alien cuisine that tasted suspiciously like Earth pizza. The council has approved funding for a permanent research station dedicated to HR-47 development. They want you and Kira to be the first residents. Our own station? Well, not just yours. It'll house about 1,000 researchers and their families. But, yes, a permanent home where you'll never have to worry about medical costs or living expenses again. Kira bounced excitedly in her chair. Can I have a bigger room for all my books? As big as you want, Marcus promised. Later that night, after Kara had gone to sleep, Zara and Marcus sat together looking out at the stars. I never thanked you properly, she said quietly. For what? For giving me hope when I had given up on everything except saving her. Marcus took her hand gently. You never gave up. You fought harder than anyone I've ever known. I was ready to inject her with poison because I was so desperate. But you didn't. And when I offered to help, you trusted me even though you barely knew me. Zara looked at this human who had changed her life so completely. Why did you really help us? The truth. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Because the first time I saw you with Kira, I recognized something. You had the same look my mother had when she was fighting to save me. That kind of love, that determination, it deserves to be supported, not judged. And, now I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you never have to fight alone again. Zara felt tears in her eyes, but, for the first time in years, they were tears of happiness instead of fear or desperation. 6 months later, the new research station was completed. Zara and Marcus were married in a ceremony that brought together representatives from dozens of species, all of whom had been touched by the development of HR-47. Kara served as the flower girl, scattering petals from plants native to both Earth and the Aquari homeworld. In her speech at the reception, she announced that she wanted to become a doctor like Dr. Chen so she could help other sick children. Dr. Korath himself attended the wedding, presenting the newlyweds with the Galactic Medical Council's highest honor for humanitarian service. This family, he announced to the gathering, has proven that the most important medical breakthroughs come not from laboratories or regulations, but from love and courage. The research station became a beacon of hope throughout the galaxy. Families traveled from hundreds of star systems to receive treatments that had once been impossible. The Kelson Initiative provided funding for those who couldn't afford the journey, ensuring that no parent would ever again have to choose between their health and their child's life. But, perhaps the most important legacy was the change in galactic medical philosophy. Dr. Chen's willingness to break rules in service of saving lives had inspired a new generation of doctors who valued compassion over protocol. Years later, when Kara was grown and had become the galaxy's leading expert on pediatric neurology, she would tell her own children about the night her mother had been ready to inject her with stolen medicine, and how a human stranger had appeared at their door with hope. The story became legend throughout the galaxy, a reminder that sometimes the most important discoveries happen not in grand research institutions, but in small apartments where desperate parents make impossible choices for love. And, in the end, Zara's sacrifice had saved not just her daughter, but countless children across the stars, proving that a mother's love truly was the most powerful force in the universe.